What's up, guys? In the truck, wanted to talk about interesting topic, and that is, do lease to purchase work? And I see a lot of videos online, super ego videos and a whole bunch of videos talking about lease to purchase is a scam. It does not work, it does not benefit the driver, and I think that's just loads of it, man. That's not true. It's not true at all. I made a lot of money with lease to purchase. You know, me getting into lease to purchase was even what even allowed me to start my business. You know, they allowed me to grow up to 7 trucks. Lease to purchase is amazing. I was making 24,000 tops, or was it 25,000? I mean, on average, it would be honest, $17,000 a month with a lease to purchase, clean, net to the bank. Okay, so that's what I want to talk about in this video. Does lease to purchase absolutely work? In my opinion, it does. Okay, the problem with what you're seeing on YouTube, everybody talking crap about it, is that they never ran a business before. Okay, and they don't really understand how trucking works. They're a company driver, they hop into a truck and they're expecting, you know, either the same kind of money or more money, and think they don't have to do nothing, just sit and drive. And anytime when you're getting into business, is a lot more than just that, you know. So let's get into it. With the lease to purchase, right? I don't see, in my opinion, you know, getting into a lease. Let's talk about it. Let's get some key points on why I think lease to purchase is better than going out and buying your own truck. So with the lease to purchase, you have usually no down payment for the truck. Okay, you're gonna have a lot cheaper monthly payment on a truck, and usually it's gonna be a lot newer truck, a brand new truck. And also, usually they're all walk-away leases. Now, why do I think all those things are way better than going out and buying a truck? All right, let me tell you. If you're gonna go out and buy a truck, you gotta have business credit, and nowadays they want you to be a personal guarantor, so you gotta have a decent personal credit score, right? Then you gotta drop a down payment. So depending on what your truck you're gonna get, and I wouldn't recommend anything, you know, usually these trucks, you got a 6-year warranty on them. So anything that's 3 years old tops, because I want 3 years of warranty on that truck. So you're gonna be looking at anywhere from 10 to 20K down on a truck. All right. And if it's a newer truck, I want to see your payments will fluctuate from anywhere from $3,000 a month to $6,000 a month. Okay, so usually when you're going to the bank, you know, you got a bigger down payment, and you're usually gonna have a higher monthly payment than this lease. Okay. Another thing, if it doesn't not work out, guess what happens now? It's on your credit. You're gonna give the truck back. Now you can never go out and get a truck again. You're screwed. No one's going to trust you no more. You're done, right? With the lease, if it doesn't work out for you, you can walk away and always start again, you know, with no penalties. And if this is your first time getting into the trucking business, right, and you're learning it, I would say hop into the lease. Learn the business. Understand what is your rate per mile to run, because everybody has their own rate to mile, you know, to run. Everybody has a different truck payment depending on what runs you're running, different gas mileage, you know. All of these things count. Also, what kind of home time you need, you know. So your rate per mile and how long you need to stay out all varies for different people. So you need to understand these kind of things, you know. Have a spreadsheet and just have all your expenses and what you need to make. So let's talk about some companies that I would recommend to go into a lease purchase with. So if you're trying to find a company to go into a lease to purchase, I would ask some few questions, right? First, I'll ask how many trucks you have, right? They talk about they have a lot of trucks. I would ask, okay, since you have all this equipment, you know, do you have enough dispatchers at the office to keep everybody moving? Okay, we do. Okay, that's not too bad. Where we're pulling loads from? Oh, we have our own customers. Okay, well, I'll be put on a... All right, I had to turn off the truck real quick. So they tell you they got dedicated lanes. that's perfect. That's something I would be like, it's a done deal. I'm hopping on. That's what's going to make you very successful in this business, okay? Dedicated accounts. Then, as opposed to a company saying, we're going to be booking loads off the load board, and then you don't got access to it. That's a tricky situation right there. Because with load boards, I remember there's a time I was in a Lease-to-Purchase, and was, the company was booking loads off the load board. We were stuck up in Connecticut, right? And we were stuck there for 3 days because there's no loads coming out. And then we had to book something for $800. So I don't really like load boards. Can it work? Yes. But I say it just takes time. Even with Super Ego, you're going to Super Ego. That's a conversation too. You're going to Super Ego. There's nothing wrong with Super Ego. It's just a real business. It's going to take time. You're building something from scratch, I feel like. You're going to have to show Super Ego who you are. You're going to have to build a relationship with customers. And eventually, even with brokers, if you have access to, if you're dealing with the brokers or whatnot, to build a relationship with them. And so if they need anything, you're going to be the first person they call, and you're always going to be moving. You're going to be booked. Then sometimes you're going to be sitting trying to find loads, it's a lot more work. But it's not that it doesn't work, it's just real world scenarios. Trucking is hard. All these YouTube videos talking about it's easy, this and that, it's tough. But do Lease-to-Purchase work? It absolutely does, okay? Dedicated account, getting into a truck with no down payment, not on your credit, and you get to learn the business and what works for you. You do that for a year or two, then yes, get out that Lease-to-Purchase and then go finance a truck. If you could survive that long, okay? Like I said, some people can make it work, some people can't. It's a lot of work. You got to understand it. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. There's nothing wrong with Lease-to-Purchase. It's way better than financing a truck, in my opinion. And I finance, I want to say like 6 trucks. I did one lease. This company's out of business. And I guess you can't really say it's a Lease-to-Purchase, but it was a lease. It was called OTR Leasing. They're out of business, but their trucks were horrible. I guess I could talk about it in this video. It's a lease. Basically, they had a nice little Peterbilt 579 and dropped my little down payment. It was such a cheap down payment. I couldn't say no to it. It was like $4 or $5 grand. And I want to say my first 2 weeks out with the truck, radiator went, transmission went, air compressor. I went through 3 radiators, injectors. It was like every week there was a problem with this truck. And you got to be careful with some of these companies, because there's companies out there, they're dealerships, and you can lease their trucks. It's not like a real authentic dealership. It's like a small mom and pop. But the problem with that is they don't really take care of the equipment, okay? It was a trade-in, and then they just put a sticker on it and re-put it back on the market and try to put a driver in it without really going through the truck and trying to see things, try to see what's wrong with this truck, how we can make it the best truck for this new driver that's going to hop in it. Another company, I know it is LRM. That's somebody, when I had my business going, wanted to get a few trucks from them. They seem pretty genuine, and they do what I'm talking about right there. You can lease a truck through them. And they got brand new Freightliners. And there was another one called Accelerate Leasing. That was another option, but their trucks were crap too. There's other people that made it work. I met people that went to Accelerate and made it work with them. But I actually got to look at some trucks that they had that were freaking horrible. So it's just about doing your due diligence, looking at the trucks you're going to go get. Even if the company, like I said, lease works. I was with a company, I don't want to say no names. It was another lease I did. And I wanted to get a 2024 Peterbilt with them. And it was such a crappy truck. So like I said, it was their truck, but they'll have drivers in the truck, and if that driver doesn't like it and wants to get out of it, they put it back on the lot. The truck was dirty as hell, and then they want to put me in it. The tires were bad. I called maintenance. Hey man, these tires are crap, man. Oh, is it 232 seconds? Oh yeah, it looks like about that. Oh, it's good, man, you're good. I'm like, dude, these are recaps. You can't even run recaps that low. Oh, we don't care, it's DOT minimum. I'm like, dude, it's gonna blow up. And he's like, oh, we don't care. And I disagree with that because, yes, that driver might be leasing this company's equipment. The company needs to understand is, have the equipment nice and very good for this driver, so when he goes out, he can have a very good experience, because keeping a driver is the key thing to your success of keeping your business alive. You don't have a business if it's not for these drivers. All right. So I remember my first week or two out, like I said, the tires were crap. I had one tire blow out, hit the dang the diesel tank, dented it, broke the mud flap, and damaged the shocks or whatnot, or something like that. And the company had to fix it, And then I had another tire blow out, blew up the mud flap. And I was like, and then had a whole bunch of other issues and stuff too. It was horrible. Check engine lights every week with that thing, and I just gave it back. So who really lost, me or them? Yeah, I put a little money into this truck, all this other stuff, but they're the ones that got to deal with that expensive truck payment every week, not me. And all they had to do was make sure that truck was in ready condition for me to take and go out there and make some money. And this company did have dedicated accounts. So when you're leasing a truck, make sure you inspect that truck in and out and absolutely check those tires, because those tires can be expensive. Check the brakes. Just don't get into something and you're down in a week or two. It's very important, at least your first month, not to experience no breakdowns, okay? Because you got to go to orientation. You got to put a month in a hole, basically, because after orientation could be a week or two. Then you got to put a week in the hole. Then you finally get paid, and usually it's bad because you got all these things coming out your first week, and so your fourth week, your paycheck really ain't that good. So it's very important that truck is in absolutely good running condition when you go out, because your third, fourth week you're out, and now you're in the shop for a week. You're not going to get paid to the fifth, sixth week now, depending on how long it's in the shop and whatever is going on. But yeah, do lease-to-purchase work. It works. It's an amazing opportunity for anybody that's just getting into the business and learn it. And like I said, 2 years you're in it and you did pretty good with it. You want to get out of it and buy your own truck, buy your own truck. But I want to say, if you've never done this business before, go out, ruin your credit, ruin your personal credit, and any dream you ever had is now gone and out the window, okay? I mean, if that does happen, you can always get back into a lease, so you ain't completely screwed. You're just going to have to wait 7 years to get your credit back. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. I feel like lease purchase is an amazing opportunity.